Alright, so welcome back to Coralia. So for this video we're going to talk about basically how you're going to score your points, how at the end of the game possibly score some points, maybe with the treasure chests and the sea turtles and what the abilities and stuff they do if you acquire treasure chests or one of the sea turtles, of course. So we're going to talk about each of the different sea turtles and what they do and treasure chests and all that, okay? So let's start with that first before we talk about the end scoring. So let's talk about the treasure chests first, okay? If you get this treasure chest right here, you're going to get the stingray, or what I like to call the manta ray, okay? You're going to get the stingray, and basically what that means is you're going to get one of these stingray cards. There's only 2 of these in the whole game, and they're set aside from the rest of the piles for this exact reason, because the treasure chest contains one of the mantas, and the sea turtle does as well. So you're going to get a manta. This will help towards the fish scoring towards the end of at the end of the game, but that's what you're going to get. If you get this one here with the jellyfish symbol on it, you're going to get points based on where your boat is. So let's say my boat was here on the 25 and I get this treasure chest. I immediately move my boat to the sort of orangey jellyfish, the next one up. So if I was on this jellyfish, I'd get to move it to this one. If I was here, I'd get to move it to this one. And yes, if I was here, right here, I'd only get to move it up 1 to the next one. So that's unfortunate if you only score 1 point with this treasure chest. But boy, if you're here, that's pretty lucky to score 5 points because you just got this treasure chest. So that's how that is going to work, okay? This one is going to allow you to draw from the Starfish pile. The top card is what you're going to get from the Starfish pile if you get this treasure chest, okay? That's how that's working. This one, very similar to the last one, except you're going to get 1 pearl card from the pearl pile, okay? Pearl pile for this treasure chest. Okay, so this one is interesting, and hold on, let me look at it, because I actually don't remember this one right off the top of my head, because I've never actually gotten this one. Oh, okay, this is how this one's going to work. Actually, we have gotten to this one. We only have done it once. Okay, so with this treasure chest, you're going to hold on to, because you're going to score points based on how many dice are sitting on the island. As you know, there are 2 white dice that start on the island, and if no one uses them, because nobody gets them, then they could still potentially be on the island. And of course, if other players put dice onto the island, because maybe they didn't have a choice anyways, you might get some points with this at the end of the game. Maybe. But that's still kind of nice. You might get points with that one, depending on if there's dice on the island. But that's how that treasure chest is going to work. This treasure chest here with the fish symbol is going to let you get a card, the top card from the fish pile, okay? And alas, finally, we have acquired the treasure chest that has the white dice on it. But before that, this one here is going to let you draw the top card from the island pile. So if you get this treasure chest, you're going to get the top card from the island pile. Okay, so you'll notice that this treasure chest here is going to give you the white dice. What you're going to get to do is you're going to take that one off the island, you're going to roll it. So let me just roll it. And then I got the fish symbol on here. Since it's white and has no color besides white, and obviously none of the other colors are on the reef for white, you actually get to put this anywhere you want that has this symbol. I couldn't put it here because there's already a green fish, but for instance, I could put it there if I want to. I can put it wherever I want, but if there are no symbols left available for this here, then I can put it back on the island and still get my island card for the trouble. But basically, that's cool. It gives you an additional dice to roll for a possibility of a good placement. Maybe a sea turtle would be nice, or an octopus would be nice. You could do that too. Or even the diver, for that matter. So still, that's pretty cool that that's going to allow you to get this white dice. And that's one of the ways, obviously, you're going to acquire this white dice. Okay, the sea turtles are next. So let's talk about them. Obviously, this is still going to work very similar to the treasure chest. If you get this sea turtle, you're going to get the top card from the Starfish pile. Oh, and if you get this one, you're going to get the other Manta card from, obviously, the little Manta pile, which is, or the Stingray pile, which is always face up and always only available via a sea turtle and treasure chest. So that's how you get the other one, okay? That's how that one works. If you get this sea turtle, you're going to automatically get a treasure chest that that was not in the game. There'll always be at least 2 treasure chests that will never be in the game, so there's always a possibility of you getting a treasure chest with this one here. And so you'll get the treasure chest and then get to do what the treasure chest does, or if it scores points later at the end of the game or something like that. So that's even better. So that's how that's going to work if you get that sea turtle. And then obviously this sea turtle here is just like that treasure chest with the jellyfish on it. You're going to move your boat up to the next orange jellyfish if you were to obtain this sea turtle here. Okay, then with this one you're going to get obviously the top card of the fish pile if you get this sea turtle. And ooh, another white dice has shown up for the sea turtle. We'll talk about that later though. This one here is going to give you obviously the top card of the island pile for the sea turtle. So obviously that's what you're going to do. This sea turtle here is going to give you another sea turtle. A sea turtle that isn't in the game. And there's always going to be at least 2 sea turtles that aren't in the game. So you're going to get one of them. Okay? You're going to get one of them. And then obviously that means you're going to get another sea turtle ability. And then of course, if you get this sea turtle, you'll get the other white dice that wasn't obviously used earlier. You'll get to roll it and place it in a new location of that symbol. So that's how that is going to work. So that's how all of the treasure chests work. That's how all of the sea turtles work. Okay? Now, cards. Let's talk about cards. Because some of these cards are going to be worth, obviously, points. So, here we have the pearl cards. Each pearl card will have a number on it, okay? So you won't know what pearl cards you are getting, but obviously there are some that you probably don't want to get, because these are 2s, and there are some definite 5s here too. You just don't know which ones you're going to get, obviously, for the pearls. The next pile up is the fish pile. There are different species of fish here, and you definitely want to acquire different species of fish. So we have these here, which I think are butterfly fish, maybe. And then we have these here, which I think are lionfish. And I know that's not, I guess that's not a puffer fish, but I forget what they called it. And then that's all of the different fish. And you'll notice that means there's 1, 2, 3... There's only 3 here. There's only 3 different fish here. Which means, because that's the case, there's actually 5 total different fish in the whole game. The clownfish is only in the starfish pile, okay? So the only way you're going to get all 5 different fish is if you are obviously also going for starfish pile as well. And then the manta, the stingray, is also the other fish that counts as the 5th fish. So that's the only way you're going to get 5 different fish at the end of the game, is if you manage to get the manta, the clownfish, which are from different piles, obviously. Well, this one's only specially obtained, and if you obviously get the one for the other pile. But then obviously you have to have 3 different fish from this pile as well. That's how that's going to work. Now, the starfish pile, this one, there's lots of different cards in here that are going to score you points. And for instance, there's the clownfish. So there's the last fish that you'll need to acquire points for. There's also a pearl card in here. So you might get, if you get this starfish card, you're just going to add it to your pearls, to your pearl card pile at the end of the game. Okay? And there's obviously a couple of those in the equation as well. So now let's talk about what these cards do. Okay? Well, at the end of the game, if you have this card, because you won't be able to use this card here until the end of the game. But if you have this card here, you get to recover a treasure chest that wasn't in the game. So next to the game board, okay? You're going to acquire a treasure chest that's available that isn't in the game, okay? So that's how this one's going to work. You're going to get a treasure chest and do whatever the treasure chest tells you, obviously. But that's kind of interesting because you're not doing this until the end of the game. So that's kind of cool that you'll get to do that. Maybe that treasure chest is a white dice. And if that's the case, you'd still get to roll the white dice and you'd still get to place it for whatever you get. So that's really cool, right? I like that. So that's how that's going to work. The sea turtle here is going to score you 3 points. This card here is going to score you 3 points for every sea turtle you have. So if you have 0 sea turtles, you score no points for it. That does happen. It's happened twice to me, and it's happened once to somebody else. So obviously, that's not something you will want if you don't have any sea turtles as of yet. So if you've got a choice of 3 cards, and this is one of them, I would only take this if you have at least 1 sea turtle already, okay? Okay. This one here is a little weird, and I've never been able to pull it off, okay? So this works if there's still dice left over, which rarely happens. But if there is still dice left over, and it's these colors here, the yellow and the blue, then you're going to get to draw a card for each one that's available in this color from one of the 4 piles. Well, you know, Starfish, or should I say one of the 3 piles. Starfish, obviously Pearl, and obviously Fish. You'll get to draw a card for each pile. Okay, so you might get some more points based on that, maybe. But it's still contingent on 2 different colors, if they're still available. And obviously, that is not likely to happen too often. Then, obviously, you know how the jellyfish works. If your boat is there, and you get this card, you actually get to basically move it up 5 points. Let me just make sure. Yeah, you still get to move it up 5 points. You're going to get to move it up 5 points immediately for getting that. So that's cool. So that's interesting. So you're going to get that. Okay. You're going to get to move it up 5 points. Just like with everything else. Okay, if you get that card. This one is going to score you points based on how many treasure chests you have at the end of the game. Okay, if you have at least 1 treasure chest, you're going to score 2 points for this card. 2 points for every treasure chest that you recovered that you have at the end of the game. Okay, this one here is going to score you points based on where you have... Oh, no, it's not going to score you points after all. These are actually going to allow you to maybe perhaps recover some treasure chests. Okay? So if a treasure chest remains on the reef of the colors indicated, you collect it. If both reefs have a chest, choose one to reveal and use its action first, then reveal and take the action of the second chest. So, if blue and orange, so the blue's right there, orange is here. If the treasure chests are still at those locations because nobody recovered them, then you're going to get to take them. If they're both there, you're going to take both of them and get both of their abilities, which is awesome, whatever they may be. That's really cool. So this is a nice card to get a hold of if those treasure chests are still available. Of course, if this is just one of the cards you take for the top because of an ability, then oh well. But maybe perhaps one of those treasure chests will be available. Okay, so who knows? This one is going to give you points based on how many fish cards you have. You're going to get 1 point for every... Let me just make sure. 1 point for every fish. Yes, 2 points for every fish. Sorry. You're going to get 2 points for every fish you have at the end of the game. Okay? 2 points for every fish you have at the end of the game. So that's how that's going to work. So if you have a few fish, it's going to give you some points. This is obviously going to be giving you points based on how many dice are on the island. You're going to get 1 point for every dice that is sitting on the island at the end of the game if you have this card here. This one is going to score you 1 point for every pearl card you have. So if you have a few pearl cards, this is going to be worth a few points at the end of the game. Obviously, this is just like the other 2 treasure chests, except it has to be yellow, and it has to be, I think that's purple. So it has to be those 2 colors to acquire with that particular card. Okay? And then I think that's all of the different Starfish cards there is to talk about. Yes, that's all of them. So that's how the Starfish cards work. That's all of the Starfish cards. And that's pretty much all of the cards in the game. Let me just make sure I didn't miss something from the island pile. The island pile had green and purple for the treasure chest that you might acquire. What else does it have? Oh, it has the rover again, but this time it has the, I think that's the green dice and the orange dice for possibility of that if they're left over sitting in the rover at the end of the game, you might get to draw some cards of your choice. And, oop, there's another rover. This one's got purple and red. So there's 3 of those cards out there that might possibly score you some points, or some cards that will give you points based on the dice that might still be available. So that's all, basically all of the cards and how they work. So let's talk about scoring next. How does that work? Well, the first thing is you're going to score points based on what Starfish cards you have. So we already talked about what the Starfish cards do and how many points you're going to get based on that, okay? Now, after you do that, you're going to score for the divers, okay? So let's say I had, where's my green diver? Let's say I have my diver here. You're going to now score points based on where you have your divers at these locations here. If there is dice in this location here and here, for instance, you score 5 points for having your diver here. If other locations are covered up, you're going to score some more points than that, obviously, if those more of those locations are covered up, to a maximum of 15 points that you could acquire if you have a diver in a reef, okay? That means only this reef would get scored for this player here because you can only have one diver, because you only have one diver, okay? Unlike the octopus, there are 2 octopuses in this game, so you could potentially place both of your octopus in the game at the end of the game. You're not going to score any additional points for the octopus at the end of the game. They only score you points during the game, okay? But that's octopus, so there's 2 octopus, but there's only 1 diver, okay? So that's how diver scoring is going to work. Then there's the fish scoring. So let me get the handy little player aid. Fish. How you're going to score for fish? Well, every fish you have, single fish you have, is going to be worth 3 points. So if you only have 1 fish, you score 3 points for that fish. But if you have different fish, okay? If you have like 5 different fish, you're going to score 25 points because you have 5 different species of fish. If you have 4 different species of fish, you're going to score 18. If you have 3 different species of fish, you're going to score 12. If you have 2, you're going to score 7. That's how that's going to work. So perhaps, for instance, maybe I had, let's say I had 3 different fish altogether, 3 different fish. I scored 12 points, but I had 1 additional fish by its lonesome, so I would score an additional 3 points for that fish. So in that sense, I would score 15 points for my fish. That's how fish scoring is going to work. Okay, and we already talked about how you would obtain the other 2 fish, because in the fish pile, only 3 of them are available. So you have to get a fish from the starfish pile, the clownfish is in there, and you have to get the manta ray or the stingray, which is only obtained by, obviously, sea turtle and treasure chests, to obtain a possibility of getting 5 fish, okay? And there's only 2 of those manta rays, so that's going to be hard to pull off. But that's how that's going to work. Then the last part of the scoring is actually going to be on how many pearl cards you have. What you're going to do is, let's say 2 players each had 4 pearl cards. So this player here had pearl cards, and this player over here, they had 4 cards. You're going to count up how many points you obtained, or would have obtained, with your 4 pearl cards. So let's see, there's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for yellow here. And then for red, we have, see here, we have 8, we have 12, and we have 15. So obviously red has the most points. So red is going to actually be able to score these 4 pearl cards here, because they can score a maximum of 4 pearl cards, okay? That means if red player, who still had the most points, had 5 pearl cards, they could only score for 4 of their 5 pearl cards. They'd get to choose, obviously, which ones they're going to score. Obviously, the ones that have more points on them. But you get the point that you're going to score 4 points. You're going to score points based on the 4 pearl cards that red player had. Now, since yellow player here didn't have as many points as red, they don't even get to score for their 4 pearl cards. They only get to score for 2 of their pearl cards. So, for instance, they could score for these points, getting 9 points, while the other player is getting a whole lot more points, obviously. And then, if there was a third player who had pearl cards, they would only get to score points unless they had more points than player 2, for instance. But if they had less points than the other 2 players, but they had 2 pearl cards, for instance, or more pearl cards somehow, and still had less points, they would still only be able to score for 1 of their pearl cards. So they would just get 1. And if you were playing a 4-player game, obviously, if the 4th player had the least amount of points pearl card-wise, they wouldn't get to score any points for their pearl cards. So that's like, a problem if you're the 4th player and you didn't have very many points, but you still had a few points. You're not going to score any of your points for your pearl cards. So, obviously, there are definitely things you want to go for. Maybe you want to go for diving and try to get the most points that way. That's still more contingent on luck. Maybe you want to score for the pearls. Maybe you want to get a bunch of pearl cards and place a bunch of dice on pearls so you can get tons of points that way. Maybe you want to try your luck with the starfish, placing dice onto the starfish and getting some starfish cards, and then to score your points based on how many dice on the island, or maybe get some jellyfish that move you up 5 points, maybe. Or, maybe get the one that scores you 3 points for every sea turtle you have, or something like that. There's a lot of ways to score points. Or maybe you just want to get your octopus out there and score some points when somebody places a dice on the island, and score some points when there are other dice when you place the octopus already in the reef. So there's definitely lots of different ways to score points. Or maybe you're also the player who maybe wants to get as many different species of fish as they can to score points that way. But basically, there's a lot of ways to score points, and it's not really necessarily contingent on which route you decide to go. You could definitely be the player that goes for the pearl cards, but that doesn't guarantee your victory. Same thing with the diver. Same thing with the octopus. Same thing with the fish. There's no one way to score the most points and win this game. It really is going to be a balancing act. It's really still contingent on luck, and it's still really a balancing act of trying to do a little bit of everything. Getting one of your divers out there and getting at least one treasure chest that you can claim. Getting one of your octopuses out there. Getting one of the sea turtles. Obviously, getting a couple of the starfish and a couple of the pearls if possible, and a couple of the fish if possible, and trying to score points here and there and maybe minuscule amounts of points here and there on just a little bit of everything. But there's no real one way to score points in this game that will guarantee victory, honestly. So choose your path wisely and hope for the best, is all you can say. But anyways, that's how you play Coralia. So if you guys liked this video or the last one on how to play, alright? If you guys liked these videos, don't forget to leave a like if you guys liked them. And I'll see you guys again next time. Hopefully you guys know and understand the luck of the role of Coralia. This is still a very fun game. It's still very enjoyable. It's great for families especially. And I've already played it 3 times with my friends, and we've had a blast playing this game every single time. It's an awesome, fun little game, for sure. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.